Hello, demons, dual back on the SMA channel, giving you the 100 subscriber special. What if Tanjiro was the reincarnation of Kirito? Or, as I pronounce it, Kirito. Now, I would like to thank you all for getting us to 100 subscribers. Now, I didn't expect to actually go anywhere with this channel. I was just doing it for shits and giggles. Just a hobby at the time. But apparently the bell what if I did hit it off. And this was the first comment I got, so I'm doing the what if Bell was reincarnation of Tanjiro. Nope. What if Tanjiro was the reincarnation of Kirito? I'm sorry, I've had a lot of what if Bells on my mind lately. Well, yeah, this is the 100 subscriber special, so I guess we'll get into the video. Now, now I'm gonna give you some backstory on how Kirito died, or so-called died. Now, when the island turtle was being shot down and captured, right before they got out, Kirito's saved data from the floodlights was copied and stored. Now, when all this data that was stored was a reprogramming of all of his floodlights, which is an artificial soul. Now, when the island turtle went down, and in this, yes, the island turtle was blown up. When it went down, the artificial floodlights were released, and some all-powerful deity, this is not going to come back in the series ever again, has found that there was one more soul in the universe and was shifting it unbalanced. Now, in another universe, someone had just died, so what he did was he transferred those floodlights into an unborn baby boy, Tanjiro. Now, in this what if, I am leaving his name to be Tanjiro. I'm not changing I'm changing his personality and looks. His name is still Tanjiro. And I know Tanjiro's technically a demon, but that's not going to be a thing in this, and he's not going to have any scars. Okay, so yes, when the island turtle was blown up, his floodlights were released, and they were transferred to Tanjiro's world. And now we'll get into the what if backstory time. Now, when Tanjiro was born, he was born with jet black hair and gray eyes. Now, it was unusual considering both his parents had pinkish purple eyes. And they lived in the middle of nowhere, so they knew that they were both faithful. So, as they're sitting there looking at their newborn son, they smile and say, "Doesn't matter, we'll love him no matter what he looks like." As 4 years go by, his sister was born and his younger brother, and over the years, they've noticed that Tanjiro had a unique ability to multitask with his hands, doing two different things. And for some reason, his reaction speed and sense of smell were off the charts. He had the highest reaction speed his father had ever seen. And when he was out chopping wood one day, Tanjiro picked up 2 axes. As he just looked at them, as his eyes looked back to it in the blade, he saw a smile on the blade. As he realized he was smiling. He didn't know why or how. All he knew is he was happy. As he did this, he realized that almost all the time he was happy in his life, other than the times he was hanging out with his family and loved ones, he was holding some sort of blade. Now, After figuring this out, he grabs the two hatchets and simultaneously swings them at a tree, and the tree goes down in one hit. Now, this wasn't a small tree, this was an average sized tree. It would have taken about 2 hours to chop it down. He quickly sets down the axes and starts to chop up the wood. His father wasn't around to see this, but he knew what happened. He brought the wood back, and his father asked where he got it all. He said that he found a tree that was falling down. So he finished cutting it up and brought the wood back. His father pats him on the head and says, "Good job." Now, Tanjiro has made 2 wooden longswords. Now, it's very unusual to see longswords, but it just felt natural for him to make them. And during all this, he's been learning his father's dance, and etc. Now, Tanjiro is up to date on the first episode of the anime, and he is a master with dual longswords. As he says that I'm gonna go to, not that, that's that. He says, "I'm going to go down the mountain to sell the charcoal we have left over." His mother, sister, and Nezuko all wish him off as he begins walking down the mountain with his coat and his 2 long swords on his back. The long swords are still wooden, except for one. His father, on his birthday, bought him an iron longsword. It wasn't anything fancy, but it was his treasure. As he's walking in the hill, he says, "Hey Tanjiro, how you been?" "Hey Tanjiro, I need some charcoal." "Hey Tanjiro, can you help me with these?" He assists everybody in the town, still having his kind nature, and wanting to show people that he is willing to help, even if it's something small. It eventually gets dark, and the man tells him it's dangerous to go up the mountain. Stay here for the night. Tanjiro says thank you, and spends the night with the old man. After that, he began walking up the mountain. And as the scent of blood hit his nose, his eyes sharpened, as one thought was going through his mind. Starburst stream. The smell of blood, the heat of battle, it reawakened some primal instinct he had from his past life. All he could think of was Starburst stream, but he didn't know what it meant. He didn't know what to do. But he found himself clinching to the hilt of his iron longsword as he walked up the hill, as he ran up the hill. And as he opened the door with one hand, the other on his longsword, he saw his family, murdered and bloody. Now, he sees that Nezuko is still breathing as he picks her up and starts running down the mountain. He still has his iron longsword on his back, but he dropped the wooden one to be lighter. He's running down the mountain. He's running and running as Nezuko wakes up, and they are thrown off the cliff. Now Tanjiro is much stronger in this, and he's able to push Nezuko off, because the sheath of the longsword held her back. As the Demon Slayer appears, Tanjiro immediately pulls out his longsword and swipes at the katana. surprising the demon slayer, but him jumping back and saying, "Why are you defending a demon? They're monsters." Tanjiro says, "I will not let you hurt my sister. I refuse to lose her. And if necessary, I will strike you down." With a dead serious look in his eyes, Tanjiro's eyes sharpened. As he reached for his second long sword, he realized he left it. He then begins to get into the Ironclad style as an instinct. The Demon Slayer, thinking this is an unorthodox style, and that if he had a hope of beating him, he needed a breathing technique. As the Demon Slayer slashed at Tanjiro with the first form of water-style water wheel, Tanjiro then thought Starburst Stream. As he managed to get the 4-part vertical square off, only due to the fact he only had one long sword. This being strong enough to stop the water wheel attack, he was now in a clash with the Demon Slayer. His sword nearly being cut in half due to the weakness of the iron, but still fighting back nonetheless. As the sword began to shake and nearly shatter, Nezuko was sitting there crying, unable to move, but somehow moved, knowing her brother is risking his life to protect her. As he then says, "I won't lose to you." He then breathes in deep and says, "First form, heat of the protostar," adapting his Ironclad style to fit that of what he's heard of a demon slayer, as his blade begins to heat like magma. And the demon slayer's eyes widen, thinking, "What is this? You're not a demon slayer." As Tanjiro's iron blade begins to melt, the demon slayer slashes right through it. Tanjiro then drops his sword completely, as he then tackles the demon slayer, launching his head into his jaw. The demon slayer quickly recovers, as he holds a blade to Tanjiro's throat. The newly passed out Tanjiro free put all its force into that head. As the demon slayer quickly kicks off Tanjiro and walks up towards Nezuko. He swings at her, but she gets smaller and runs through his legs, as she's right next to Tanjiro, showing a sign of protection. The demon slayer thinks, maybe they are different. As he lets them live, hands Tanjiro a iron hatchet he had spare, and a steel knife. As he woke him up, he gave him instructions on what to do, and he set off to the base of the mountain. As they walked till nightfall, Nezuko hid in a cave, as he asked the man if he could borrow his straw basket. The man said sure, and you don't need to pay for it, don't worry, and you can keep the bamboo as well. Tanjiro then says, "Okay, thank you." As he walks over to the basket, grabs it, and sets down the money on a barrel. He then walks away. He gets Nezuko in the basket, as they continue walking till they get to the shrine. As they arrive at the shrine, Tanjiro smells blood, as he draws a knife and the hatchet, and then opens the door. He sees the demon as he slides to the right, allowing Nezuko to be seen, knowing that she is a demon as well. Then he starts to spout on about this is my clan, my turf, and I won't let you encroach on it. As he smells the air and says, "Are you human?" As Tanjiro bursts through the door and throws the hatchet, the demon, being caught off guard by this, raises his arm and his arm is cut off. Him being a lower level demon, this will probably take about 20 minutes to regenerate, considering this was a full-size arm. Okay. Sorry, I'm really tired. It's like midnight. But yeah, he loses his arm as Tanjiro raises a knife, prepared to fight. The demon leaps at him. The knife goes into the demon's neck. As he's shaking the knife, trying to get it out, Tanjiro is overpowering the demon due to the fact that it's missing one arm. But then the demon gets stronger. Its wound regenerates, and its cut off limb becomes a nub. As he's being overpowered, Nezuko kicks the head off the demon, sending it into a tree. He then quickly kicks off the body, sending it off a cliff. Now, it took Tanjiro much longer to build the basket because it was already broken. So, after that, he then stabs the knife into the demon's head onto a tree. And the sun begins to rise. And then the water breathing teacher appears and says, "You can't kill it with that blade." Tanjiro looks up at him and says, "Okay then," as he picks up a rock and begins bashing the demon's head in over and over again, with no mercy. The demon slayer then says, "This kid could work. He has no remorse for the demons, and he has all the skill needed." As they then begin, and then he says, Let's go." There's a long walk back to the mountain. As they begin running, Tanjiro is able to keep pace with him the entire run. As they arrive at the shack, Tanjiro is out of breath. As he sets Nezuko down, they begin walking up the mountain. Tanjiro keeps his breathing steady, realizing that the altitude is being raised, as he quickly adjusts to the new air, and they arrive at the top. As he says that Tanjiro needs to make it back down to the mountain by daybreak, Tanjiro says, "Okay then," as he disappears. Tanjiro then says, "This will be easy. Even though there are traps all over this mountain, if I use that, it won't be hard." As he pulls out 2 knives and begins running, he trips a couple traps, but every log that came flying his direction, he cut the rope before it hit him, and every piece of bamboo he sliced straight through. As he arrived at the bottom of the mountain in an hour, the man looked at Tanjiro surprised, as he said, "That was fast. You are now my student, a student of the Demon Slayer Corps." And that's where we're gonna end it off, guys, for the episode. I am posting it on Saturday as the 100% subscriber special. No idea when I'm posting next, but yeah. This was kind of like a bonus upload, not to mention it's the 100 subscriber special and the new series that's coming out. I continue it from here, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't feel like watching episode 3 and 4. So yeah. And I'm pretty sure it's just a training arc, so I'd probably skip over that really quickly. Well, I've been the Duel, and you've been the viewers, also known as the Demons. We are Isame. Like, subscribe, comment. I prefer you to comment rather than like, honestly. And thank you for watching. Goodbye. And